Pretty much.
You sure want the packet?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Literally, just hold it. Well, I had it up to both. So I had it up on the page.
Yeah. Don't. Very good.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order. First up, roll call.
Counselor Moraz,
Present.
Counselor Gibbery,
Present.
Mayor Levine,
Present.
Counselor Levine,
Present.
Counselor Thronson absent.
Next up, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up will be the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, appearances. Ellie Lemke from SCH will update the council on information received for the lead water project for state of Minnesota.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So the lead service water mining inventory the focus of the Minnesota Department of Health to essentially assemble and update all the records that the city has on the type of material each water service on its water system. So in becoming your guys' city engineer, we were able to work with the Department of Health to do this work for Keewatin. And since then, we've received the engagement request, which kind of just confirms we can do this work for you guys. So our next steps from here are to review the project scope with the city and then assemble a project scope and fee to send back to the Department of Health for approval. And from there, we can start work. This project is contracted and paid for by the Department of Health, so there is no fee for Keewatin. Any questions?
Do we need to make a motion to approve that, Brian, then,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
for SEH to complete the? Okay, I'll make that motion then, for SEH,
Second that.
to allow SEH to complete the paperwork, whatever, for the Department of Health.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, 7.1, update on Eastern Itasca Joint Sewer Board letter, Attorney Brian Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor. We did receive a response from the letter just recently. I think everybody's received a copy of it. Obviously, Nashwauk has taken a different position than we have. So my suggestion to the council may be to set up a meeting with the city of Nashwauk, so the councils, and I understand some of that may be in the works already, just so the councils can get together, get on the same page as far as the information and the path forward. And then in the meantime, an action item that the council could take is we could authorize payment of the additional amount claimed in the most recent invoicing, contingent upon them satisfying our inquiry and providing us the information that we requested in our letter. Because while they've responded, they have not provided the additional information or clarification that we asked for. So I think a meeting is a good step to get all of that information out and have everybody on the same page. And then if in the council's discretion, you could authorize up to the balance of that most recent invoicing. That way, once that meeting occurs, we don't have to bring it back to council again. We'd be authorized to pay whatever amount we deem that they've satisfied us as to.
Mayor Saris called me and asked me to set up a meeting for probably the first or second week in February, and he says Monday and Tuesdays are good days for that. But I asked him to ask April to get a hold of Beth and find out what dates they for sure, and then we'll see if we can accommodate it.
Okay.
And then we can move forward.
Good question. Brian, you suggested setting up a meeting with the City of Nashwauk's Council and the Public Utilities Council, or just the City of Nashwauk's Council?
I think both would be best, but for sure the city, because ultimately the utilities would be beholden to the city. So, and that's where they would get their policy direction.
I had a question, Mayor. So
Okay.
is that, so we should pay this 19,977?
We paid the undisputed amount, and I think that was a good faith gesture that should have been received well by now. And I think what we could do is authorize up to that balance contingent, payment contingent upon them providing us the information we requested and satisfying us that those amounts are due and owing.
Okay.
I don't think we released our dispute as to those amounts at this point, but, the fact that they responded to us is, while I didn't like the response, is a good sign that they're open to communication. And the joint sewer the joint power agreement requires the next step that we get together and talk. So it seems that everyone's following through with the process. And if that meeting's gonna be out near our next meeting, there's not as much urgency in making that contingent authorization.
Well, the only thing is if there shouldn't be another meeting of the board because according to the letter, we're forfeiting our right to vote if we don't comply.
So that it don't matter when they have to.
I don't know. I've never been at a meeting, so I'm not sure. If we have the meeting, when is your next sewer board meeting?
It's the third Tuesday
So the 20th.
of next month.
Okay,
So we would have them before.
we would have it.
We
Okay,
hopefully have it before.
okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So we need a motion or just, you think?
Yeah,
or-
have me a motion for to pay the 19,000 or?
Yeah, if we wanna make a contingent authorization, we need a
Yeah.
motion to do that.
Okay. I'll make a motion. For contingent authorization on the approval of that payment.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. 7.2, update on Glacier Park ground lease with City of Keewatin Attorney Brian Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor. So at your station, you should see an updated Glacier lease.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
The version of the copy of the lease that is on your stations this evening is the final lease, and when I say final lease, the city has had an opportunity to look at it, and then we've sent it over to Glacier. Glacier and their legal team have reviewed it, we've incorporated the minor changes that they had requested, and this version is a version that we understand that is acceptable to Glacier, so we could, upon final approval by the council, we could use this internally to reestablish all those leaseholds, the subtenancies on the Glacier property. And if the council is willing to authorize this lease, the balance of the process can be handled as an administrative process by simply reaching out to the individuals who hold the leases and say, would you please come in and meet with us to renew these leases? It would set all the new terms, the new leases. It would eliminate everything that's old and replace it with this updated lease. And we wouldn't have to come back to council to approve each individual lease.
Okay, I'll make a motion then to approve
I'll
the
second that.
sublease.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
I guess I just have a question on 13. There's question marks there. We're just leaving that on the security deposit. I think
We're not doing
we weren't
Yeah,
gonna
we're
do
gonna delete
that.
this.
Okay,
We'll come back.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Counselor Jibber? 7.3 is we already did that. I apologize, that shouldn't be on this.
7 point.
Good on that?
We're good.
That's 7.4. Appoint wellhead manager for 2024. I think we appoint Eric Sunquist for that. Eric, are you that right now?
Pardon me?
Are you wellhead manager now?
I don't believe so.
No, I think Susan is.
Who is?
I think Susan and you.
Oh. Okay. We might as well appoint you, and if you need help, Susan or you can both help you.
And what does it entail? I don't know.
It's like water, protection for your water supply in town, any wells and stuff like that. This- Yes,
Ellie can actually help us with that if you want to give out,
okay.
step up to the podium and help us with the purpose of the wellhead
Yeah,
manager.
wellhead manager would essentially be a point of contact for the state. coordinate all of these management practices and ensure the management plan is being
So basically, I'm overlooking what Rob does, the tests and that?
No.
That's something different.
You're overlooking all the wells in our, you see these signs around town, drinking water protection, one other, don't see these else. Okay, it actually brings in Keewatin and us together. So you will probably need some help from Ellie on this.
So can we just appoint our engineer
We could
and then
make things a lot easier.
work with staff then going forward? If there's any,
Yeah,
does
I'm
that
not
sound okay?
familiar with how that works for kind of outside, like not being the direct city staff, but I would imagine that could work because we're essentially point of contact,
Right.
so.
So who
I'm not sure.
do we appoint then?
We would just appoint SEH or Ellie as our wellhead manager. And if Eric or if something comes for the clerk to complete paperwork, I don't know. Is it, Is that-
Involved as much as I need to be
Yeah.
involved with that. We need that.
and does this have to be an annual appointment or can
Yes.
we? It does.
Yes.
And you do not have to
Every year.
have a water license to be
Okay,
it.
okay.
I
Okay,
don't know
So
if they're
that's-
offering any training on this right now or not.
Again, I think the purpose of the wellhead manager for the city of Keewatin is a contact person to reach out to the city, to find out the information and, you did a report in the past.
Yes, if the state has an issue, who can they call to discuss that with?
Right.
There's no real specific knowledge or training that they would have to have to run anything.
I still think we should have somebody from Talmo here as
Okay.
manager, because they're supposed to be watching like the
Mhm.
train tracks, if you have a spill, anything on the ground that could contaminate our water supply, stuff like that. And as soon as you would see something like that, you would report it.
No spill containers and all that.
Yeah.
but isn't that part of the emergency management job for that?
No,
Well, it is
different.
if there's a train
If
that
there's
has a
train,
spill,
yes.
yes. And oil, things like that, that's part of emergency management.
It's like where the
report
well, where the Keewatin wells are, nobody can build something right next to it that could possibly be within so many feet of the wells and stuff like that.
It's just wellhead.
Mostly, and like Keewatin's got 500 of them. So it's not an easy job. It took us a long time. The state had to come up here and work with us to do it. But just so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
Well, and so does it make sense, I mean,
Can we appoint Beth then? As a point of contact, I mean, basically that's what it is. If something
Well, I
comes
think you
up.
can because me and Susan, I think, put our names on it last
Mhm.
time.
Okay.
yeah,
Well, then we could do that. And then if there's an issue with the state, she can contact Eric or SEH
You
or
and all your
whatever if
employees
there's
just keep
questions.
an eye out on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because you're in town, you guys are around all the time. That's
Yeah.
why they have city workers to do it, so.
maybe there's no training, there's no nothing.
No.
like that, very much.
There really wasn't. I inherited the job because I had a water license, and they kind of worked together.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to appoint Kurt Mackey as the wellhead manager to work with the both of you should something come up then.
Okay, I'll support that.
All right, thank you guys.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, unfinished business, 7.5, discuss credit on public utilities bill for residents.
Attorney Lindsay? Would you be able to weigh in on statute for if a resident was not receiving services from the city of Keewatin?
So there's not a specific statute that covers it. Where it is covered is essentially the legal theory or the legal protection behind it is, in this particular case, is that the claim is that a resident was billed for services that they never received. And if that is the case, the city ought to reach out to the resident and make arrangements for a credit back for the services that weren't received.
For 4 years,
Well,
right? Is it 4 years?
Yes.
So I'll just ask a more obvious, well, I won't say obvious, I'll just ask questions. I can ask questions, right?
Absolutely.
So 4 years is a long time to have extra services on your bill.
Right.
To go unnoticed. And if I'm correct, I don't know if we don't have a system in place in Keewatin aside from observation. I mean, if you happen to notice if somebody moves out and somebody takes some, there's no way of verifying that that did or did not occur. Am I wrong? Am I understanding that right?
Correct.
That there was or there wasn't a garbage can there on occasional use?
Right, if there was a garbage can dropped off there, most people after a month, or when they're done, would call the city, or they would set it up and they would have it for 1 month.
Yeah,
They might
It's
have it
their
for 2
regular
months.
garbage can,
it's the regular garbage
not,
can.
not a dumpster. It's their
Oh.
regular
Two-
garbage.
2 regular garbage cans. So this is why I'm only throwing this out there, and I'm not saying either way, but there are neighbors that somebody moves out and they take their garbage. I wouldn't know if they were paying for the
No,
garbage or
that does
not,
happen.
and it happens all the time. I could go around town right now and find doubles.
so, Mayor, can I maybe add a little bit? So there are 2 different kind of limitation periods when you look at something like this. There's a standard statute of limitations, and then there's the you knew or should have known standard. And in the law, we call it the doctrine of latches, which basically means you sat around on your rights for so long, you lost them. So in this case, I don't think it's unreasonable to reach out to a resident and say, look, let's split the difference. The city acknowledges that, upon verification that the service wasn't received, we acknowledge that you didn't receive the service, but 4 years is a little long to be paying for something without letting us know that you weren't receiving it. And so you may be able to split the difference and say, look, we're willing to, without any additional conversation, reimburse you X amount of dollars or X amount of time period in order to resolve the claim. And then what I would do is just upon issuing the check, have them sign a receipt with a release on it saying, this is the resolution of this issue, we all accept it.
I have a question, Mayor. So, for Beth, I guess. So the resident lives in the house and they've lived there for 4 years.
Mhm.
They have 1 can or 2 cans
1 can.
and they don't use it. Is that correct?
They used their garbage can. They were being billed for 2 garbage cans.
Okay, so but they've only had 1?
Mhm.
So at some point in time, did the city pick the other one up? Was there a work order for it?
I'd have to look.
So that's
I don't
my
think she ever
question.
had the other can.
It was never there.
The
Oh,
can
they
was
never
a-
had another
Correct,
can?
yes.
That's what.
No, this is going back 4 years. I don't know how we would go back in the records to know if there was ever a garbage can there 4 years ago.
Well, it depends on how you operate the system, because if you do a work order in the system, it's always there as long as that resident.
And we just
It's
started
there.
that this year. Prior to that, we did
So-
paper copies, but this year we do computer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically in the utilities billing, you can set up your work orders, print them right out of there and make notations, drop the garbage can off on this day, pick the garbage can up on that day, whatever it is.
And it's working good.
Okay, so that being said, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, we-
How would you not notice that on your bill? I guess to me, I check the bill every month to make sure that,
Is it an
Well, I'm
online?
thinking somebody asked for 2 at one time, and then it just never came off the bill or something. If you picked it up, you only had 1.
yeah, I don't know
Why
how
didn't
you
we
would get
just
another
start
one
out
on
and
there
charge
if
it
you,
here for 2?
right,
I mean,
exactly,
If I was getting charged for 2, I would know next month when I got my bill.
exactly.
Call City Hall and say, you made a mistake, I shouldn't be charged for this.
Well, that's what, it's an error, either that or somebody accidentally, I don't know how you would I don't know the bill, I don't know how those are manipulated, so can you accidentally add another garbage to somebody's bill?
You have to physically go into the program and add it.
So there would have a work order, if you could trail back, there would be a request for an additional garbage. And like I said, I go back to my point with the tracking part, it's a bigger issue, because I know people take garbages that are left and they just move them over to their house, and nobody ever checks to see
Mhm.
whether or not
I
they're.
know
they're
this has
picked up.
happened, this has happened with dumpsters before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
everything.
know, but
So we have a
I've never
system.
heard one with garbage cans.
Well, everybody kind of looks at their own bill. I'm not opposed to giving some credit. I mean, some credit, but 4 years, I am not in
Yeah,
agreement.
I'm not in agreement with that either.
Um,
I mean, I would agree to maybe 6 months.
And Mayor, perhaps if we've got a little bit of time, what we could do is the council could authorize staff to go reach out to the affected residents and see if we can come to some sort of a resolution that would be brought back before the council for a final approval. We could reach out and say,
Yes.
hey, the council's discussed it, they've asked that we reach out and talk to you about this issue. Here are the here are the different positions that were discussed, here are our concerns, and then, what would be, if we can come to an agreement, that agreement could be brought back to the council, and the council could say yay or nay. And then from a forward-looking standpoint, maybe it would make some sense to add something to the utility bill, just a statement that says any charges contained within this bill that aren't disputed within 60 days are considered to be permanent, and there's no future ability to bring claims.
I think that's fair. Is, just one question on top, is it $32 per garbage can or 16? How much is it per them?
I think it's
I know.
17.
17.
Per garbage, okay. Because we're looking at about, it's like 700, and this is just an estimate, but it's about $750 for 4 years of an extra garbage can. 752. So,
And then how many other people are gonna come back and say they want a refund as well?
it's just opening up, okay?
Exactly.
And from a legal perspective, that's why I think we should go back,
Yeah.
speak with the resident, lay out the positions, and also verify that there was some service that was being charged that wasn't received.
Okay.
So with this though, I will make, if there's because I'm assuming I have to make a motion, but I would prefer that Clerk Mackey call.
Okay.
Just because of
Mhm.
the connection. If that's okay.
Sounds good.
Yes, I'll make a motion for Clerk Mackey to reach out to the resident, regarding the, garbage can fee to discuss, what the resident is looking to achieve as far as amount. A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, 7.6, appoint Bruce Christensen and Janice Gravel to the zoning commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 7.7, under unfinished business, discuss $25 late fee assessed to residents' utility bill.
Looks like the surrounding communities are all over the board.
So, I guess this goes back to my philosophy of the disconnect notice with the $25 fee and setting a percentage if your bill isn't paid. Not a $25 flat fee on a delinquent bill.
So you're saying $25 reconnection, disconnection, different from the other?
So, okay, so on the 25th, the bills are processed.
Yeah.
If you haven't paid your bill by, was it the 26th or whatever? Okay, then that fee, then you're gonna get a late fee. say it's 10%, just like a credit card.
Yeah.
It's a percentage. So that's calculated on your bill. So whatever it's going to be. If it's a $40 bill, it's $4, not 25. So then if you're up for disconnect and you haven't paid your bill by the 10th of the month, disconnect day, then you get an extra $25 fee added on to the disconnect people only.
Gotcha.
So it's just a percentage calculated on your utility bill every month if you're not paid by the 25th of the month.
So is there a max? So like you're $4, so if you have a $400 bill and you don't pay it, you're a $40.
$40. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, you can set the percentage at whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, just, cause I know when I was looking through this, I mean, some of the bills are higher than others, and I know one of the points being made was that the late fee is more than the electric.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking at the electric in isolation, I was just looking at the whole bill.
Yeah, me too.
And so, yeah, I mean,
I don't
some of
know.
them are higher, but
Mm-hmm.
How long has
But-
this $25 charge been on here?
about a year.
We just did it.
Okay.
And that's, I think when we discussed it the last time, that's where the confusion came in. It's changing. You weren't here. And I don't know what it was prior.
Was it 5%? Wasn't it a percentage?
Was it a
It was
percentage?
Wasn't it? 5% or something?
I don't know.
With
Maybe
that,
it wasn't. So
I
far,
think it was a flat fee, wasn't
We just put the flat fee on.
it? No.
No.
no, I don't remember.
If they don't pay by the 10th of the next month, then you pull the meter, right?
Mhm.
Okay, then there's another charge, right?
$100.
Besides the 25, they pay 100 too.
$100
Well, if
disconnect.
they get their if it's
If it's
disconnected.
disconnected. So I don't understand why there's another $25 fee on there, because they're already gonna pay a $100 fee.
The 25 would replace the 100.
No, no.
No.
Oh,
That's in
extra?
You would
addition.
be paying both.
And then.
It's
they-
more incentive for them to come in and pay the bill before the meter gets pulled. So they're still paying a penalty of something.
Then to reconnect, they pay another $100.
And why?
There's a disconnect fee of $100, and then a reconnect fee of
They
$100.
raise these all
Okay.
4 or 5 years.
So I would say there should just be, you pull the meter and if you have to reconnect it, you charge for the reconnection, not the disconnection.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Because, yeah, just the reconnect, yeah. Not a disconnect and a reconnect. Yeah.
It's more fair to.
Mhm.
A big bill versus somebody that's got a
Yep.
smaller bill, the percentage makes great sense.
Yeah,
And, yeah, I mean, you got the fee for,
Well, it's gotta be something that's, it's a job, somebody's gotta
Right.
go out and do it.
and when
I
you go
understand
out
that.
per Dave Lumber, one of our older men in New guys, he said it's more dangerous to pull and put a meter back in than it is to hook up the wires.
Mhm.
You get a lot of the arc flash, so you got
Mhm.
the second guy, as you can say.
so Eric, how many meters do you normally just pull?
It depends, there's busy times and generally, it's kind of strange. Now, there hasn't been any for a while here, but a lot of times there's 6, 7 of them to do.
Okay.
And
You actually pull them?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you know.
I mean,
a
so
lot
there
of
are
them,
that many, okay.
there's Probably in some cases more than that, but just by simply calling them,
Okay.
knocking at the door, they go like, here's your opportunity, I'll give you time, and you'll.
Yeah.
Yes,
A lot of times I'll call from my cell phone here.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's kind of an improvement, because I remember years ago, I used to have 25,
Mm.
And I'd have 25 meters and sit on the seat in the truck
Mhm.
next to me.
yeah, so,
So some of these fines are apparently working.
Well, and I don't know if it's necessarily the fines, and more maybe even in addition to resources. Just thinking about what you dealt with before. There's a lot of resources out there if people make the connections. And I know there's lots of hardships too, you know what I mean? But you said before, it used to be a big
Oh, yeah.
job. But everybody is so all over the board. I mean, it's just, there's absolutely no consistency across any of these people. They're all arbitrarily put in for help. How are these figured out? It's just people just randomly pick numbers.
Well, I think the disconnect, reconnect should be one fee, not one fee for each. So, I mean,
Whatever will keep it
I
clean.
mean, if it's 100 now,
Mhm.
I would just say 100, disconnect, reconnect, total, not 200.
Which is what Hill City does. Looks like it's
It
just
looks
one
like
fee.
pretty much, yeah. I don't know, maybe we should just look at this some more and come up with some ideas.
I just don't like pulling up numbers like random.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's gotta be something to look at, because I also do, I like the idea of having more time. I'm looking at what we've taken in so far on these fees, which means that people are being charged.
Yep.
Obviously, this is a considerable amount of money. I mean, it's no secret, but it's $29,717 that we've taken in on fees. So that's a lot of money. So I would like some time to look at it. I think we do, like, leaving our next meeting. If we've all been confused, we have to have it like, maybe I need to see it on a piece of paper, like reconnect, connect, if it's just gonna be one, this is our fee. Because we've had this conversation a little bit before, and I don't know that we're all on the same page of what we're doing, but
Did we update that policy? Is that what we did the last time? How did we, or did we just do a resolution, or what did we do when we did the 25?
Counselor Morales, you were the clerk at that time. Can you input?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I have to go back and look.
Okay. So that information I could bring to our next meeting? Okay. And what else?
So our reconnect, disconnect, what, all that, shut offs, I think everything we should have like a review.
Okay.
and I do appreciate Billy looking up, reaching out, looking up, getting all this information.
Okay, so do we need a motion to table this till the next meeting and direct the clerk to provide more information?
I'll make a motion to, table the $25 late fee to the next council meeting. And then, in the next breath, ask the clerk to pull the policy for the fees, because I believe that there is one for that meeting.
I'll support. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Next up, new business. Adopt resolution to apply for FY 25 community projects funding. Ellie, you wanna update us on that?
Yeah, so Pete Stauber and his assistant sent out the request for kind of this pre-application interest letter of sorts. That there are projects on the horizon that the communities would be seeking money for. There is no deadline yet for this kind of pre-application, so I'm not sure quite when it's due, since there's no deadline, but sooner is better than later. I would recommend to the city that we set up a meeting with those most knowledgeable of the infrastructure in town to kind of pull out a map and mark up the areas that would most need a project. From there, we can have our funding guys assemble a nice strategic application that would be most likely to give us that funding to move forward with the project. It does take, for funding like this, typically about 1.5 to 2 years to kind of acquire those funds.
Yeah, I think it's for 2025
Yeah,
is what the,
so it's a process. It's not something that we're doing this summer. Yeah, most of the project kind of spends in the funding phases usually.
I can't remember what the cutoff was. I'm thinking it's like March, end of February, March or something to get the proposals in.
Yeah,
I think it was.
the link that I saw in the email so far was just Google form, basically.
Mhm.
Okay.
No specific.
Yeah, it came from Rams.
Yeah. So, and I didn't see a deadline on there, but probably sometime in February, if not
Yeah.
in February.
At least to submit the letter and a request.
Yeah,
And I know we do have a map from Benchmark of the streets.
yes.
You
I
have,
think she
okay,
has all that.
okay, perfect.
Yes, Quick Mackey did forward that to me, and it's probably a good idea to just have a quick meeting to update that, if you will. It was from
Okay.
2003, and talked a lot about overlays typically.
We have a current map because I requested it probably a year or two ago.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Should be something to look
looking
at.
for that then.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think 17. I
2017.
think we did
time
something.
period?
17.
Jeremy did a map just not a couple years ago.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. that would be-
Yeah.
Has color coded. with-
Yes, it's color coded with priorities.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, so I have the color coded map from 2003, which
Okay.
is 20 years ago. And all the time periods on there.
Okay.
were 20
Yeah,
years
I
max.
think I have it I know I have it in a file at home
Okay,
because I just looked at it the other day and then bring it up here, so. Look at that.
okay,
Okay, sounds good.
yeah,
But we'll set up a meeting and try to set up some projects or something, you know, that we can look for.
I think the infrastructure needs to get
Right.
started, looked at and get that
mhm,
as much funding as we can when it's available.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
So we need to adopt the resolution.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution, to apply for the FY 25 community project funding.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 8.2, direct street department to start a list for spring projects.
Which there is, I've had a file for my time frame. Spring work was, summer work was, fall work was. So, yes, I already have all the changes a little bit, but for the most part, it's, the streets and patch potholes. One of the bigger projects is gonna be fixing that annex building, walls. We've done that this spring, so, yeah, I can get something put together for you, so you can see it, and if you got some thoughts you want to add to it.
I would like to see you getting on those potholes right away as soon as you can, because I know last
Yeah.
year it was till the end of summer before we started.
Some of them are on when we do the streets every month.
Well, we gotta get it done this year.
Yeah,
Complete, done, all
right,
this spring.
yeah,
Like I say, you do them and then you redo them and you redo them because you have the traffic streets and they just.
We just gotta get on and stay on. That's all we do. And sweeper, make sure the sweeper's ready for spring.
Sweeper's ready and every time we take it all, maybe it breaks down.
Yeah.
We just keep fixing it. It's. So maybe we could go to the mine and see if they would be party to upgrading. They helped us with this one.
Have you got any, stuff on sending, employees from sweeper school? Has anything come up on that yet? Have you
Not
seen
yet.
anything through Elgin? Contact Elgin, or who do we order our card through, McQueen?
Yeah.
Contact McQueen and ask them when they're gonna have it, so we can send these guys, you know, to sweeper school. Because I do see some things going on, one with the sweeper, you gotta slow down. When you run it at top speed, it's gonna break down.
Well, it's gonna.
And you don't go forward and backward with the sweeper. That's a no-no. When you go to school, they'll tell you all about that.
And I get it, you know, but the thing, it needs, and we discussed that, it needs a lot of work, and that's one of the reasons it needs a trail behind, the belt is ready to tear on it. Conveyor belt. It's ripped that far already.
Yeah.
And you know, when that happens, it's eventually gonna happen. It's an expensive repair, because of that bolt is $6,000. But whatever, and then it just constantly goes. And that's a major project, to tear down the floor. It is what it is, I get it, we'll just keep too fixated for now, but it's something to at least think about, because they bought it for us, maybe they would be, and we do their lot for them, and their lot, right, is, but it's hard on that machine. When you go out there and you're sweeping that much dirt on top of the pavement, I mean, I asked them to scrape it with a skid steer or loader, get what they can off of all those shop buildings, but still, it's, in a lot of places, we've done, you know, 3 inches of dirt on top of the asphalt. The sweep curve is not designed to pick up that much, it's hard on it.
I'm gonna be setting up a meeting here shortly with Keewatin, so I'll bring it up to them and see if they're interested in
They
updating.
didn't want, but.
No, we didn't buy new one
Mayor?
last time.
Right.
So in December, we had applied for a grant, equipment grant for equipment, the matching grant.
Mhm.
So we could probably look at that and
Okay, I can
set
mention
something
that
up.
too.
So we should be able to submit something under that. I don't know if you listed any equipment on it, Beth, or not.
Specifically, no.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
So I mean, that could be something if they, do a matching. Mhm.
Thank you.
Do you think we should have a committee to kind of sit down like we did with the equipment? Or kind of like a committee review project for spring priority type thing, or not?
We're pretty well caught up on that. And most equipment,
No, on the spring duties.
yeah, we can do that.
We also have Way Day of Action coming up, several projects for that
Oh,
as
yeah,
well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
When is that again?
June.
June?
I think it's
Okay.
June.
So do we want to set up a committee to discuss
Day of action
Some
is
of
June
that stuff?
14th.
June 14th?
Yeah, I'm all for that. We get a list of stuff we want to have done this year and
Mm-hmm.
stay on
I like the idea of the smaller communities,
Mhm.
because that's, you can monitor and move faster.
Anybody want to be on it?
it. Well, I don't need to be on it, so we don't want to be on it with me.
I can.
Well, you're on the equipment one with me, so might as well be on this one too.
Okay.
A lot of it you see.
Okay, sounds good. We probably need a motion.
Mhm.
Need a motion
Yeah.
to have Mayor Levine and Councilor Levine be on the committee for spring project.
Oh, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And next up will be any commission reports.
Pricing for us.
Yes.
Would I miss something?
Yeah, 8-3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Discuss pricing rugs for government buildings.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Counselor Thronson had mentioned that possibly we should check on seeing what it would be to purchase rugs for the city versus paying Airmark, what we pay them a year for the rugs. So we were just looking to see if we could get approval by the council to go ahead and get those quotes. And then I have Rob is doing the numbers, checking and
Yeah.
where the rugs are needed and how many we do own.
So what do we pay now? And how many do we, is it here?
$77.95 for this building alone.
$80?
And 120, wait, maybe it was combined, 129.95 for
And
the
that's
post
for-
office and the city hall, I think.
And then we have them at the community center as well?
Don't they clean?
How many rugs do we have, Eric?
It's about $350.
A month?
And how many rugs do we have, you know?
How many rugs?
Yeah.
That I'm not positive on. At the garage, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5, I think it's 4.
How many here?
So we don't own any rugs right now.
We do own rugs.
Oh,
We own the rugs here. I'm having Rob
Okay.
give us a count on how many we own, and we're just asking for the council for permission to go seek rug bids, and then we'll bring it back to you.
Then we can ask those.
We have done this in the past. I know in the past years when I worked here, we did this. Seems like we always end up going back to the rug companies because you have to clean them.
Right.
You own
Yeah,
the
how are
rug,
you
now you
gonna
gotta
clean 'em?
clean them, and that's a big job,
Okay.
cleaning them, because there's nowhere to hang them and dry them out. And so
Mhm.
just throwing that out there. I've cleaned them before. I've had them down in the shop down there and I've steamed them with that steamer, and it's a big job. I mean, $350 seems like a lot of money, but when you got a guy on there steaming them all day
Yeah.
and trying to dry them out,
and going in every building and doing it, yeah,
Yeah, well, and then while they're getting clean, we put it on.
right.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
a big job, so just throwing that out there. We'll look at it, run it
Yeah.
through, get,
Can you get a copy of the bill? Can we get that next
Sure.
time too? And so a listing of where the rugs are that we are paying for?
We requested that of him yesterday when he came.
Okay, perfect.
so we get a motion to look into this.
I'll make a motion to table until the
All
next meeting.
support. Any further discussion? All in favor?
You're tabling?
Till the next meeting.
Did she
Oh.
put, okay, so she's the, Kirk Mackey doesn't go look in the meantime?
No, wait,
No. I say just get the information and see where the rugs are.
so we know what the cost is.
So we know what we're
What are
gonna,
we gonna save on it, you know what I mean?
Okay. I also.
and the sizes and everything.
All right, all in favor? Motion carried. So next up, council reports. Councilor Jerry update on the Nashwauk Ambulance Task Force Committee.
Okay, so I'll just make this fairly quick because I think this is gonna be one of many meetings. So I was at the meeting on January 17th, and it was quite a few people there in addition to the number of government entities that were present. So it was added on today, but I gave Kirk Mackey a copy of the agenda with the notes, and people can look at it later, but I'll just kind of give you the short and sweet of it. So there was a lot of discussion. You will see on page 2 that the discussions have kind of narrowed down to 3 options that everyone is considering. The next meeting, and I'm not gonna go through like I have pages and pages of notes, which I'd be happy to summarize and let people look at them, but the case in point of where we're at right now, at the end of the meeting last time, is there's a lot of discussion around the books, like what's being paid for the ambulance service, how much money is going in, how much money is going out. People wanna know line items. So what's gonna happen next time is that information is gonna be prepared by the clerk over there. And then we will be able to sit down as a committee. This was not a roundtable discussion. This was like a council meeting where there were a bunch of people present. On that first page, you'll see how many townships were there. There was only one township that did not have somebody there. And I think that was just they had a meeting or a council meeting. But, so we're gonna go through the line items, talk about the prices, because that's where a lot of people's questions are right now. One of the things that I learned, and it's not as easy as everyone, I think is hoping, especially with Nashwauk having 6 full-time EMTs that are union employees, that are on their payroll. A lot of the things that they're talking about right now is, it's hard to find people to fill these shifts. So they have like 13 people that are on call. They have 6 full-time people. And because Nashwauk, our coverage area does not have a hospital in our area, a lot of the transfers and whatnot are done by Rapids and Hibbing, but it's not necessarily because they get all the transfers, it's because we don't have the staff to staff them either. So they're pulling in as many volunteers as they can, but more information more information to come. So I thought that it would be beneficial for the council to at least see that they did try to put information out there to have somebody buy the ambulance service. That fell. Nobody bit on that at all. And then it looks like forming a taxing district is one of the hot ones that people are thinking about, or they're wanting that. I thought that one of the things that was of interest for anybody, if you didn't know already, state statute 144F is a really, basically outlines what that looks like for forming a taxing district, the ins and outs of that. I looked it up when I was there and I thought that it was very informational. So I think I would encourage people to look at that if you are interested. And there's a lot of, it's drumming up a lot of conversations, so it's definitely has ears, and there were some of the commissioners who were present and stuff like that, so I think people are wanting to see overall a resolution, they're wanting to keep it, but also at the same time, understand that it's hard to keep something when we can't finance it. So, it's not easy, it's not gonna be an easy conversation. But everybody that was there wants the conversations to continue, so that's what Mayor Sari asked for last time, was if anybody wanted to bow out of future conversations, and everybody is still in it and moving forward, so. So the next meeting is, like I said, February 15th at 6:30, and then that one is gonna be more of going through the ledgers and the bills. Let's see.
I had a question. How many part-time do they have?
So they don't have any, so those 6 full-time
Just
employees,
it.
the union, and then there are 13
On call.
on call, and they come from anywhere, everywhere. So one of the questions that I asked for points of clarification were those just Nashua people? Or if they were all over, and they come from Hibbing, Chisholm, wherever, so those people are coming from everywhere. And, Court, I think that's his first name, right? Yeah, is it?
Mhm.
So he was trying to answer a lot of questions. They typically have to have 2 people on the schedule, so it sucks up those full-time people. And then the on-call people that are able to pick up shifts, a lot of them, just like the fire department and stuff, they do shift work and whatnot, so it's just not enough people picking up shifts. So you can't take calls, like transfers, those make the most money. You can't take those calls if you don't have people, because you also have to respond to these 911 calls that are in our area. So it's actually a very interesting conversation, and I would encourage anybody that wants more direct information to just go to one of those meetings. I mean, it's anyone that has a vested interest was at the last one. I think the group will kind of get more, what would I say, purposeful, but it will kind of slim down a little bit as people are trying to gather information and kind of push it out.
Was public there? Any public?
No, there were just people from private
Okay.
entities. Like there was
Okay.
one woman there that I was talking to from Gillette
Mm.
Children's, and then the previous Karen Calliguri was there. So some people like that have a vested interest. And all of the conversation is really good. I mean, like I said, I'm learning a lot of which I didn't know would be true, so.
I don't remember, but how big is the service area again?
So, yeah,
So from Keewatin to
Yeah. How many square miles?
Kofi to Togo.
Yeah.
To Pengilly.
Corey, I mean.
Yeah.
Partially, like the
Partially.
other side of the lake and all that, Swan
It's
Lake.
Yeah, I can't remember
it's
what it
huge.
was.
It's one of the bigger areas,
Yeah.
which it takes more time to get
Right.
people. So, and that was the biggest thing, and they were talking about too, and I'll just throw this out there for people that have been, talking about it, but it's the reimbursement from the insurances. So all the calls that they're taking, I think most people can appreciate. I mean, insurance doesn't pay for the full amount. So
Right.
it's $1,800 a flat rate, standard rate. And Medicare, just for example, will pay $454 of that. And then if people aren't paying for the service once they get a bill, then it all goes in red. So, and then Karen, which was really good, and I won't speak for her, but she had a lot of information, obviously, It was a different time, but she said that, they saw this coming years ago, so this isn't something that just started to happen. They predicted that this would eventually happen 30 years ago, so. Yeah, so that's that. I think, any other questions that people think of? I know it's hard to ask the questions if you don't know what I have on this paper, right?
Is the county still contributing towards their ambulances?
Yeah, I think it's
60,000.
60,000.
To each.
Yeah,
Okay. They
Yeah.
used to pay half of a new ambulance.
yeah, and that's the thing is they were talking about too, like they have the 3 rigs and one of them is,
Transport only.
yeah, and then, you know, obviously the years and stuff like that, it's just like everything else
Yeah.
is gonna need replacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were replacing them every 4 years.
Mhm. But they definitely, like I said, if I were to, without putting my opinion on anything, it sounded like people were asking a lot more questions around developing it or doing the taxing district
Mm-hmm.
to keep it here.
Right.
I don't know that they're seeing any other way around it, so.
And I think that each city has their option and a resolution, whether everyone's involved or not.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
another thing.
well, they talk, you know, about forming a board and all of that stuff, so that's all part of it. So that's why I said, if I were just for the council to skip to some of it, I would just look up that statute that I said.
Yeah.
And I pulled it up when I was in a meeting, and it's an easy read and it's informational, so. But I'll, go to that next meeting and, you know, bring back more information, because I'm curious what the money part of it
Mhm.
will look like. And they were very open to, providing that to the group. So, and asked for feedback on what people would want to see on there. And one of the commissioners had asked, like, everything down to the internet bill, like, we want to see, you know, basically everything.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that should be
100%.
easy for them to get. They're audited every year and pull it right off the system, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said, anything we want to look at, everybody can look at, and appreciated the questions
Yeah.
around wanting to look at it. I mean, why wouldn't you want to look at it if you were
Right.
gonna be a part of this, you know, so we'll just keep, plugging along, but I'm glad to go to the meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista.
Mayor Levine, Counselor Thronson had asked me to bring a couple of items up to the council. The sign out on the highway there, would the council approve getting electrical quotes for getting permanent electricity on the sign out there? We did do some temporary electric to get that on the sign. She's also looking at getting some volunteers to help. And then what to do with the old Keewatin sign.
I
Would you
think on the Keewatin sign, you'll have to wait till I meet with KeyTac,
Okay.
so I can ask them, it's basically, I think it's their sign anyway, so see if they want to keep it up and take it down. As
I
far
had
as the electrical, I think, Eric, you guys can run conduit over there, can't you?
We could
Come
run
spring.
switch and,
And then just hire somebody to come in and hook it up, you know,
if
into
we're
that.
gonna come from that pole, or maybe
Yeah.
we can just come from that sign, the existing sign.
I think you should go to the pole, there's relays and stuff in there, and
Okay,
then it's done with.
well, then it's that one, well, so is the big sign too. As,
It's hooked out of there too. It all comes off that photo cell on the top, you know. And we might have to even get that updated. That might be, you know, time to change that box and everything in there. So we can get like, one of them outfits, that we hired before.
Either get it, or rent the ditch witch and you just do it.
Yeah, I would just, and run it in conduit too.
Yeah.
So we never have any trouble with it after that.
Well, if you have trouble, you can pull them wires,
Exactly.
so,
It would be a spring job.
yeah, I don't know.
Add it
I
to the
don't know how
list.
much frost
Add it to the
there is,
list.
so.
I have a question on
Okay.
that, Mayor. So, where are we at on the project? Are we over? Or did we have enough funds to cover it?
We are over budget.
Okay. So where are we,
I would propose that we table this until Counselor Thompson is here. I don't know what her full vision is for the
Mhm.
sign. I just know that,
and then that was my question is like volunteers to do what, I guess.
I don't
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Yeah,
You know, we were gonna
Volunteers
put a
for-
slab under it. I remember being discussed that it would have a slab just to tidy it up and make it easy to clean up around more on, no like anything, just stuff.
yeah.
Just put 2 wheels up on there, nothing more up on the slab, go around,
Mhm.
trying to keep things streamlined. But, I know she mentioned something about trying to afford a slab because we're over budget.
Mm.
And they were talking about rocks up there, and rocks, and just opposed to,
Oh.
they were a pain in the butt. And
Mhm.
so glad we got them out of there. That's another project, that bridge, where we hope not to go off on tangents, but, we'll have to get heat or something down there.
Mm.
But, you know, winter's here again.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to table it until we know where we're
Yeah,
at.
and maybe we can find some.
On the project?
We can find some more donators for it, you know?
Right.
I know she had rocks in the electricity, that's what was on her thought.
Yeah.
But then she also has bigger visions for the, like, doing the entrance, so.
Yeah,
I think
kind
it's
of
better for her
revamping.
to talk about
Yeah,
too.
so I guess just put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Discussion.
Moving on pretty good, in 2 weeks, should be.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we already discussed the sewer board stuff, so I guess, anybody else have anything for next meeting?
Have we heard anything on the quotes for the stuff on the wastewater? The effluent, influent?
Oh,
Have we received anything? Okay. All right.
we talked about that today. Yeah. Motion to,
What's that?
motion to adjourn.
Oh. So you just started in the wastewater, you lost me there. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Says.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.